This week on Berkshire News Now, we check out the 21st Annual Downtown Celebration and Motorama in North Adams, as well as revisit Soul Sisters and Brothers. And former Mayor John Barrett III joins BNN to talk about his candidacy for state representative. That's coming up next on Berkshire News Now. Welcome to the August 30th episode of Berkshire News Now. I'm Samantha Niskern. Today marks our final episode of the program, coming to you one more time from the MCLA TV studio. As summer draws to an end, people are looking for any excuse to spend the day in the sun one last time. The 21st Annual Downtown Celebration was the perfect fix for end of summer fun, and BNN was there to check it out. The 21st Annual Downtown Celebration took place August 16th. The party came complete with live music performed by J.P. Murphy Band, magicians, games, hula hoops, giveaways, and more. The pedestrian-only traffic filled Main Street, Eagle Street, and Holden Street as shops, vendors, and other organizations lined the roads, eager to mingle with the community. One vendor was Crystal Howcraft, who specializes in making and selling jewelry. Howcraft explained some of the tricks she uses to create rings, necklaces, and other items.
I make things out of resin, which is a chemical that I add glitter and glow-in-the-dark stuff to make fabulous and adorable things. I make jewelry with found objects and that kind of stuff.
Howcraft shared that her business does best in person at events like Downtown Celebration because it gives potential customers a chance to see and feel the jewelry up close.
I really don't do well online. I feel like people need to touch things in order to enjoy them.
Other vendors and tents included a make-your-own wand tent, a cannabis growing class, and balloon animals. Street vendors weren't the only ones to offer goods at the celebration, though. Many of the shops on the closed-down streets opened their doors to the party as well, including Empire Coffee. Pete Wheeler, owner of Empire Coffee, talked about how large community events like the Downtown Celebration help his business.
Obviously we're open later than we normally would be. We normally would close at 4 o'clock today. But with this type of event, you definitely want to stay open, and it's been very well. As a business person, you always want more business, and then when you get that more business, you want even more after that.
Wheeler continued, noting that though the tourism is an easy profit, his real prospects lay with local, loyal customers.
The community has been more than supportive. They have many repeat customers, and that's what's really going to keep me alive in the wintertime is the repeat customers. One of the things I always say to my staff is it's easy to rip off the tourism dollar, but it's the local people that are going to make us survive. So
Wheeler shared his excitement for an ice cream addition to the Empire menu, which was a popular treat at the celebration.
We are extremely excited because it's made right here in the Berkshires. It's all natural, no preservatives, no additives.
Jackson Poirier came to the event with friends after work and talked about how much fun the party was. Poirier mentioned how he thought it was a good sign to see so many different families and that the hula hoops were a big hit with the kids. The Downtown Celebration was a hit once again, but there was one more community event in downtown North Adams this summer, Motorama. The celebration of all things motorized took place from 9 to 3, and BNN was able to speak with owners of some of the hot rides about all the work that they've put into their cars. Sunday, August 27th, North Adams once again closed off Main Street for another community event, Motorama. Hundreds of cars lined the roads, with some owners coming as early as 5:30 in the morning, even though the event did not start until 9. Entrants for Motorama came as far as New York City and Boston. One man who brought his car to the show was John Neville, who showcased his 1955 Thunderbird. Neville gave a tour of his car, showing off the cream white wheels.
This is a 1955 T-Bird. It's all original. The wheels are bias ply wheels, or white walls. We put the original tires that came with the car that would be on it.
Neville continued, recounting the car's history and how the automobile came into his possession.
This car belonged to my aunt and uncle in New Jersey. When my uncle passed away, my aunt didn't know what to do with the car, so she sold it to my father, and my father and I restored it.
Neville admitted that though the upkeep can be expensive, he still enjoys the hobby.
There's stuff on here that you wouldn't even believe what we paid for it. I mean, the antennas are just ridiculous for, when you're restoring a car. But it was fun. We had a good time doing it.
Others raved about the experience, bragging about their own rides as well.
Great show. A lot of cars, a lot of fun. People that don't come are foolish.
We both picked up new Thunderbirds. Like mine is a 2002, his is a 2004. We both wanted them back in the old days in 1955.
One man shared that he hadn't been to the event in years and that he was impressed with how far it's come.
I haven't been here in a couple of years, so I'm really surprised at the amount of cars and people that are here. Great though. Good turnout, good weather. What more could you ask for?
Another talked about how beneficial Motorama is for the community.
I was here last year for it, and I said, you got to come up to that because this is one of the best ones I think around. And they got more cars here this year than they had last year.
Yeah.
And I've met so many people that I know. It's fantastic. This is great for North Adams and great for the area.
In addition to the car show, an auction, food vendors, raffles, music, and merchant stands added to the excitement. Vendors sold Motorama t-shirts and hats, water bottles, toy cars, and more. Whoopee FM and WNAW trucks made an appearance down the street from Fat Boys, a sure indicator that the event would draw in a large crowd. One attendee was Bob Planky, who showed off his wheels and gave B&N a tour of his ride.
Well, it's a 68 GTO convertible, and when I got it, the floorboards were all like Swiss cheese. The mice had got in there. Mice ate most of the car. So right now, probably 80% of the car you're looking at has been replaced, has been rebuilt.
Though the majority of his car had been replaced or fixed, Planky shared that most of his car remained original.
Most of it's all like original. The motor's original, the body's the original, the frame, tires, wheels, some of the interior stuff.
North Adams Motorama proved to be a blockbuster event. With summer winding down, the city had one last community day in the sun. TEDx will be making an appearance in North Adams this coming winter on January 27, 2018. Organizers haven't picked a location for the event yet, but are leaning towards the downtown area. For more information, you can visit the link below. In the first episode of B&N, we covered the Relay for Life with Soul Sisters and Brothers. Let's go back and take a look at that package. The annual Relay for Life of the Northern Berkshires took place a few weeks ago on Friday, May 19th. The Relay, the signature fundraising event for the American Cancer Society, was accompanied by games, live music, food, and other activities. Jocelyn McArdle, the community manager for the Northern Berkshire Relay for Life, touched upon all of the hard work that goes into hosting the event.
It's a community-based event that is staff-supported and run completely by the volunteers in the Northern Berkshire area. So the volunteers that are here today have been working on this event tirelessly for an entire year.
Sharon Nemser, captain of the Northern Berkshire's Soul Sisters and Brothers, spoke about the dedication her team has to fundraising for Relay for Life.
So we're a relay team that's been together for about 2.5 years, a little over 2.5 years. We do fundraising year-round. Our theory is cancer doesn't stop, so neither do we.
Bim Burns shared an emotional experience she had at a previous relay.
To me it's real important, and I did my first one 5 years ago, and it was during the Survivor's Lap. For the first time I cried, and I was crying not only for myself and the fact that I'm still alive after all these years, but for all those patients that I knew and loved so well that never made it out of the hospital.
McArdle mentioned some of the groups and services that benefit from the funds raised at Relay for Life.
So the money that we raise at Relay for Life events help to go support our programs and services. Our programs like Look Good, Feel Better that help women apply makeup when they're going through chemo. A program called Road to Recovery, so you could get a ride to treatment if you don't have a ride. Reach to Recovery, which partners you with a cancer survivor. It could be across the country, but they have like a similar diagnosis than you. They try to buddy you up so they can talk to you about like what you're about to go through.
Nemser went on to talk about some of the organizations that Soul Sisters and Brothers bring into the event. event.
Team Soul Sisters and Brothers plays an integral part in this. I reach out to many local businesses, and they put on this fantastic meal, and this wonderful troop of Girl Scouts are here helping serve it from Adams.
Trevor Bayless explained how his own experience with cancer shaped his career as a doctor.
You know, it's not something I think about necessarily on a daily basis going into a room with a patient, but it's in the back of my mind. It's there even subconsciously. When I go in to have a difficult conversation, I'm always thinking about those moments when I heard those words, and how can I do it in the right way.
Paul Rosenthal explained how with new technology, cancer treatment is more effective and pain-free than ever.
We have over the years developed more targeted therapies that identify features of the cancer cell that are susceptible to being killed by certain chemicals. But now we found a way to unleash the immune system on the cancer cells. Normally our cancer cells escape detection because they have a way to trick the immune system into thinking there's nothing wrong. Now we've unlocked that secret. We've taken away their disguise and their cloak. They're available to be killed by our own immune system. So it won't make you sick, these new treatments. They don't make your hair fall out. They're not hard to do. They work pretty well, and they work for almost all cancers.
Bonnie Spencer, who also attended the relay, talked about the positivity and hope that the fundraiser brings.
It shows that there's people out in the community that have survived and can survive, and maybe gives a little bit of hope to people that are doing it now, facing it right now. And so I think it's important that we do this, and certainly the money that's raised is for a very good cause, and most of it stays in the area.
I was able to catch up with Sharon Nemser, captain of Soul Sisters and Brothers, to talk about the group and see what they've been up to since we last met. Joining us now is Sharon DeMeyer Nemser, team captain of Soul Sisters and Brothers. Sharon, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
First, I'd like to ask you, what influenced you to start Soul Sisters and Brothers?
Well, I had been involved with Relay as a volunteer and then on the leadership organizational committee, and had done a couple small teams every year with friends, and I really decided that I could do something more. And I had a group of friends that were willing to join me, male and female, obviously that's why Soul Sisters and Brothers, and we started our team, and we've been very successful as a group.
And your team is listed as a Jade team. Can you explain what the different levels mean?
Yes, so according to how much a team raises, you know, you start out as silver, and then it obviously goes up. And we raised, to date, we've raised $12,000, so that makes us a Jade level. Previously, we've always been the next level up, but this year we ran out of time for fundraising.
And you yourself have raised over $8,000. Do you normally take fewer larger donations, or do you have a lot more smaller donations that add up?
That's really hard to explain, Samantha, because I fundraise year-round. Cancer doesn't stop, so neither myself or my team do we stop fundraising. So I'm always on Facebook. I'm always reaching out with our Relay app continually, and whether a donation is $5 or it's a nickel, every dollar counts. And then we do some fundraising, some larger fundraising, and we all do it together and we all split the money.
And are there any upcoming events that your team will be fundraising at?
Yes, actually we're in the works doing a couple celebrity bartenders coming up, hopefully at Freight Yard Pub again. They've been very, very popular. We're going to do glow-in-the-dark miniature golf. Unfortunately, they couldn't fit us in this year, so that'll be in the spring. And we will do our normal, we get together with another team and we do bingo. And we try to reach out to different age groups and do different fundraisers that people can afford to come to. We don't want to do $50 admissions to our wine tasting and not do bingo. So we try to reach out to every group in the area.
Mm-hmm. And which organizations do the proceeds you collect benefit?
Okay, the proceeds go directly to the American Cancer Society, of which 76% of the money raised here stays right here. It benefits our our survivors. It benefits our caregivers. There are many things that 76% of what we raise is a lot of money. And of course, there's always administration fees that have to be done and research. God bless research, because we've come a long way. But there are so many things. There's a group that you can go to for free. They give you makeup, so when you have chemo and your hair's falling out, they can help you get a wig for free of charge, help you apply makeup, over $100 worth of makeup they give you. They also provide rides to and from cancer treatment. And all of this is done, along with many other things, by calling a 1-800-ACS-2345. That's 1-800-227-2345.
And finally, what advice do you have for anyone who wants to get involved and join your team?
Well, our team is under reorganization right now because some people have different visions, and we're reorganizing. So if anyone wants to join any team, the best thing to do is we have a Relay for Life Northern Berkshire team group page on Facebook, or they can always reach out to me and I'll be glad to help them. And that's my cell phone number is 413-822-1087.
Sharon, I'd like to thank you again so much for joining us today. The work you do is incredibly important, and I know it touches the lives of many, so thank you.
Thank you very much.
With school just around the corner, BNN also revisited and updated the regionalization story from earlier this summer. All over the Berkshires, communities are seeing a population that seems to only decrease every year. Over time, these declines have had substantial effects on everything from police and EMS resources to schools. Just this past year, Hoosick Valley High School saw their smallest graduating class yet, with just 63 students, and Cheshire's elementary school was voted to shut down. With more talk of regionalization in the area, people are looking for answers. Mayor of North Adams, Richard Alcombright, talked about how population decline affects the community, noting schools as what he believes to be one of the largest financial crises in the area.
What I think is the next largest fiscal crisis for communities in Berkshire County are schools. Population decline here has been a problem since I believe the 40s. If you look statistically back when we had 21 or 22,000 people, that number has come down every single year virtually since the 40s, I believe.
Adams Town Administrator Tony Mazzucco also touched upon the subject, focusing on family size as one of the factors for the decline.
There's a lot to it. One of them is every rural county, or most rural counties in the country, are seeing a population decline. So folks are leaving the farm, so to speak, and moving to the cities, but that's been going on for 50 or 60 years. In Adams, our population decline actually began in the late 60s, and it was the same in many other rural communities. But family size and family demographics have changed as well, and that's something that also contributes to it. 40 years ago, it was not uncommon to have 5 or 6 kids in a family. So if 2 or 3 of them sort of left home and went to the cities or went to the coast, it wasn't a big deal. You still had a few of them staying here and settling here. Nowadays, families with 5 or 6 kids are very rare. We also have an older population, not just in Adams, but in Berkshire County as a whole.
Mazzucco continued, talking about the Berkshire County Education Task Force and how restructuring education could help.
So the biggest thing going on right now countywide is the Berkshire County Education Task Force. So there's actually representation on the task force from North County, Central County, and South County, and they're sort of in the mid to late stages of coming up with a series of recommendations and doing some different modelings about how we can restructure education as a whole in Berkshire County. We have, I think, more than 10 different school districts in Berkshire County, and we're geographically fairly large, but far too many school districts and school buildings. So once the task force recommendations come out, I think you're going to see a movement to see how some of those can be implemented. If you were to build an education in Berkshire system in Berkshire County today, you wouldn't build it anyway the way it's currently structured.
A step-by-step guide on how to create and run a regional school outlines the processes that need to take place. The ordeal is lengthy and requires that a signed agreement and certified votes be submitted to the Department of Education for approval from the Commissioner. Mazzucco followed by suggesting that Adams and North Adams figure out a way to bring the two communities together.
Things that they can do, and in particular for us, I think the next logical step is sitting down with North Adams community to community and looking at how we can bring those two school districts together.
Alcombright seconded having the two communities work together, citing special education needs as something that is already underway.
We're working with the town of Adams on collaborative efforts in our schools, mostly right now around special education needs. So we're looking at that a little bit, and there's a very big effort countywide about school regionalization. We need jobs up here. We need good paying jobs to bring people in. Our real estate is affordable. Our taxes are affordable. I think we're an affordable place to live. I think we'll, at some level, grow out of it. But again, you may want to say, is 13,000 people or 14,000 people where North Adams needs to be?
Mazzucco went on, talking about the undercapacity of student-to-school ratio, stating that the communities are spending tens of thousands of dollars, even though the population continues to decline.
We still have an overcapacity concern in the Adams-Cheshire district. We have capacity for maybe 1,400 students or 1,500 students, and we don't have that many. So that's also an issue to look at, is we have more school space in Berkshire County than we do, than we need. One of the other problems with that is we're still building new schools in Berkshire County. Adams-Cheshire recently completed a renovation at Hoosick Valley High several years ago, and the building was older, it was needed. Greylock's building a new high school. Pittsfield is building a new VOTEC school. Down in Central County, in the central part of the county, I know Dalton and their regional school district are looking at the potential of a new high school, and sometimes these facilities are needed, but we're investing as a county tens of millions of dollars of our money and state money in new facilities while we're continuing to see that drop in population. Part of our overall economic development prospect, we're looking at bringing more tourism in. We're reaching out in different areas to try to bring businesses in because people follow the jobs in any given area. We need some of the universities in the area, particularly MCLA or state colleges, however we're going to phrase them, to really figure out how they can grow their student population and grow the programs that will attract not only students from the outside, more students from the outside, but will attract these businesses as well that say, hey, we want to be there because we need X number of graduates throughout the every year just to fill our working roles, and that's not simple.
The population decline and the school crisis are linked, and both need to be addressed in order to fix the other. With state and local elections coming up, community members have a chance to elect someone who they believe will help not only the population decline, but the school crisis as well. In the meantime, higher education like Williams College and MCLA play a large role in bringing people into the area. But what happens when admissions are down? In 2010, 1,974 students attended MCLA. By the 2016 to 2017 year, that number decreased to 1,641. Though there is no official count for students entering the 2017 to 2018 academic year so far, the doubts of admissions continuing to drop are in the air. If higher education can't bring in the numbers to the northern Berkshires, North Adams and its surrounding towns will need to look elsewhere to combat the population decline and boost numbers. With elections for city council, mayor, and state representative in the near future, community members have the chance to air concerns about regionalization of schools and resources like police and firefighters. As autumn approaches, so does election season. I had the chance to speak with former Mayor John Barrett III about his candidacy for state representative. Here now is former North Adams Mayor and State Representative candidate John Barrett III. John, thank you for being here today.
My pleasure, Sam.
So first I'd like to ask, what made you decide to run for state rep rather than for city council or for mayor again?
Well, I hadn't planned on running for any political office in the near future. It was only when the untimely passing of our state representative, Gail Caretti, that several people came and asked me if I would consider running. It wasn't an easy decision in light of the fact that I was ready for retirement to a certain degree. But I also felt a sense of challenge in this, that this area itself could use a strong and experienced voice at the State House and in Boston. And I think that's what it's really all about. And I also have a great deal of experience that I can offer and bring to the table. I have relationships on both sides of the aisle. I've been involved in politics for many years. And I've also served as president of the Mass Mayors Association on 2 different occasions. In addition to that, I had 8 years on the McCann School Board, 4 years as a county commissioner, in addition to the 26 years as mayor. And I also thought I could bring a unique perspective basically to the House of Representatives. I don't know of many, if any, mayors that have ever gone into the House and as a representative after serving as mayor. And I can bring that unique perspective, I think, to explain to them about the problems that we face in education, about the problems that we face with our job development, and just about the entire area in the economy. And that's why I decided to do it. It's just a sense of service, I think, more than anything else. And I really have the passion to keep serving the people not only of North Adams, but the entire northern Berkshire area.
And you've said that if elected, you'd like to adjust the Chapter 70 education funding formula. Can you elaborate a little on that?
Yeah, about 8 or 9 years ago, and I was still mayor at the time, they changed the formula in Boston. And I said at that time in discussions, and they were some of them were heated discussions with the Senate President at that time, Therese Murray, that her changing of this formula was going to hurt communities, especially those out in the Berkshires like Pittsfield, like North Adams, like Adams, and now the chickens have basically come home to roost. And when they changed that formula, it meant that they no longer looked at the economy, they no longer looked at the area, they no longer looked at the job situation out here, or what the worth of a community was, or what the average income was, and it's devastated, and we're going to see it a lot worse coming. So that's why I'd like to go down there and basically say, listen, we've got to change that formula. We can't have any more of our programs eliminated. But even worse than that is that people have seen a significant increase in the northern Berkshire area in their property taxes in the last 5 or 6 years. That's a direct result of the state not meeting their commitments to funding our education programs here. Programs that they mandated and programs that they promised that they would fund for us. They haven't lived up to their commitments, and so I'm going to offer, I think, some firsthand knowledge on how they can correct that situation, and most importantly, straighten out the problems that we're facing here in northern Berkshire.
And if elected, would you then run for re-election to stay in the seat?
Yes, originally I had thought, geez, maybe I could just go in and fill out the term. That wouldn't be fair to the other people running, and it certainly wouldn't be fair to the people that I would be representing. I'd only be going in there for a short period of time before it would be time for re-election again. So if I'm successful, I certainly plan on running again and serving the people in the northern Berkshire area in the 1st Berkshire District.
And as someone who has led North Adams for years, is there anything in particular that you would like to see get done for the city from the state rep seat?
Well, I can't be parochial anymore. I have to look at the big picture, and the big picture means that we have to work in northern Berkshire as a complete unit. That's what I see the role as state representative, what my role can be, is pulling the area towns together, talking about how we can address the problems of workforce development, the problems of education, the problems that we're facing with the opioid addiction problem and mental health issues, things along that line. I see myself as a facilitator and also having the ability to hopefully bring that message back to Boston and hopefully find some ways that we can work to correct these challenges that we face here in the northern Berkshire area. But I certainly can't be parochial anymore. I want to see things happen in our other communities. As goes all of northern Berkshire, goes the towns that are part of it.
Of course. John, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today. The primary for the special election is October 10th, and the general election will be on November 7th. Lisa Blackmer, who is also running for state representative, joined NBCTC on Tuesday for an interview about her candidacy. One of the biggest issues Blackmer thinks needs to be addressed: transportation.
But economic development and jobs, it's education. It's also, it ties into transportation. People, if you can't get to work, it's hard to work. And that's a real issue because the jobs that we are creating in public safety, medicine, retail, hospitality, third shift jobs, anything, you can't get there. Our public transportation system starts at 6 in the morning and goes till 6 at night.
Things are only starting to heat up politically in the northern Berkshires, but in other parts of the state, things have already been heated. On August 19th, Boston was home to a controversial free speech rally. BNN was able to attend to get some up-close footage. A free speech rally took place at the Boston Commons on August 19th, organized by the alt-light, a self-proclaimed light version of the alt-right. Organizers described themselves as, quote, libertarians, conservatives, traditionalists, classic liberals, Trump supporters, or anyone else who enjoys free speech. Though the group distanced themselves from neo-Nazis and the KKK, the Anti-Defamation League said the rally was not strictly a white supremacist event, but that its organizers are in step with the alt-right in their hatred for feminism, immigrants, and social change. A Facebook page for the event suggested over 300 people would attend, yet only a fraction would actually show. Counter-protests organized by Black Lives Matter, Boston Democratic Socialists of America, and other groups surrounded the ralliers on all sides. An estimated 1 to 1,000 ratio of ralliers to counter-protesters set the tone early in the morning. When the rally concluded early, police vehicles were used to transport those who attended safely out of the crowd of thousands of counter-protesters. Counter-protesters took to the streets in an attempt to block the vehicles from escorting the free speechers out of the area. riot police showed up to herd the crowds off the streets and onto the sidewalks, escalating tension. Video footage shows police clashing with counter-protesters, knocking one older woman to the ground. The protests were mostly peaceful on both ends, ending in only 33 arrests, mostly for disorderly conduct and assaulting police officers. In the wake of the Boston rally, the Islamophobic hate group Act for America swiftly canceled 67 rallies that were to take place in 36 different states on November 9th in support of the Common Sense America First policies pushed by Donald Trump, to instead have an online day of action. Though Mayor Marty Walsh praised Boston with his statement that, quote, Boston stood for peace and love, not bigotry and hate, the city still has a lot of work to do to combat racism, Islamophobia, and other forms of bigotry.
On Wednesday, the 23rd, the Clarksburg Board of Selectmen approved the addition of Peter Cook's name to Veterans Field. Cook was the town's only combat casualty in the Vietnam War. The 20-year-old Army private gave his life in 1970, and almost 50 years later, his memory is still being kept alive. The Williamstown Zoning Board of Appeals okayed the new Williams Inn project. The board issued 5 special permits on August 21st for construction of the inn at the end of Spring Street and for the expansion of the parking lot nearby. That is it for the final episode of Berkshire News Now. Thank you to those who have watched all summer. Though BNN has come to an end, you can find me with Beacon Web News for MCLA over the course of the school year. Enjoy the rest of the summer, and as always, thanks for watching. For Berkshire News Now, this has been Samantha Niskern.